Yo, okay, if you're sitting here watching me, sitting here, watch you, sitting here, you're watching me, watching you, watching me, watching you, then I'm almost certain that you probably bought the 7 mindset mistakes that keep you in your 9 to 5. And if that's true, we're gonna essentially take that whole title and flip it, because after this mini course, you're gonna be able to have the right mindset to essentially get out of your 9 to 5, not stay in your 9 to 5. See what I did there? It's one of those like reverse things, okay? Because when I left my job 8 years ago, I was not ready. I didn't have the proper mindset. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So essentially when I left, it was cold turkey. I just was so sick and tired of working crappy jobs. All I wanted to do was actually record music at the time, is have my own recording studio, never see the light of day, just be in my studio with cool guitars and cool people, right? And really just focus on recording music. I just wanted to be my own boss. That's all I wanted to do. And for the longest time, I was just working job after job after crap job after crap job. You know, we just had a couple babies. My wife and I were stoked and just living life and having a good time. But I just felt this urge, this like thing inside of my chest that I was just wanting to, you know, do my own thing. And so that is not a bad thing. If that is where you're at, that is awesome. Now, the only thing is though, is when I left, I feel like I left too soon, right? The main thing, the main point of why I left so soon was actually, my belief was the mindset. Because when you leave your job, right, there is no one to tell you where to go. There's no one tell you what to do. There's no one telling you when to get up off your freaking caboodle and get to work, right? To stop working, to have a healthy relationship with your spouse or your girlfriend or your kids, to have, you know, a healthy, you know, body and, you know, eating the proper food and all that stuff. Now, I know my boss never did that when I was in, you know, a job, but my whole point is that when I was at that job, I would, you know, lace up my boots. I would walk out the door. I had to be at my job at a certain time, 7:30, 8, whatever it was. And my foreman or my manager or whoever was like, cool, this is your list. This is what you have to go do. This is what you're going to go do today. This is when we're going to be done. This is what job, it's how long it's going to take. All this stuff, right? I didn't have to get jobs. I didn't have to get work. I didn't have to do any of that. I just showed up. Most of the time, I was half awake and just not really ready to do my work or whatever. I would wake up normally right around like noon. You know, I'd be ready to go to work, you know, mentally right around noon, you know, 1, 2 o'clock. When you become your own boss, you have to be ready to go mentally, have the right mindset, and ready to take over this world or whatever industry you're trying to take over, right? First thing in the morning, right? First thing, you have to be ready to go. Because if you think about it like this, everyone wakes up at the same time. Ish, right? Everyone gets the same amount of, you know, sleep ish, right? You know, we all have the same tools given to us. We all have the same food given to us, right? We have different choices, obviously. We can do drive-through or actually go to the grocery store, whatever the case is. But my whole point is we all have the same playing field. Now, whether you wake up with the right mindset, with the right mentality, that is up to you. That is your choice. And I didn't find that, honestly, until probably around year 5, year 6 of my entrepreneurship journey. Like I said, I've been doing this for 8 years now. So that was a huge wake-up call for me, going like, man, I am wasting so much of my life, so much of my time, so much of my energy when I could be focusing and I could be, you know, really taking over the day and taking charge of the day if I just had the right mindset. So we're going to go through these 7 mindset mistakes and actually just essentially how to overachieve them and overcome them and really just get you guys on the proper playing field and really just get you all focused. And I'm really freaking excited. So thank you so much for buying this, and we're going to do this right now. So the main theme is how your mindset, habits, and self-leadership are the things setting you free or holding you hostage. So section 1 is no one's coming to save you. You got to have discipline over motivation. You can be the most motivated person in the entire world, but if you don't have any discipline, you are stuck. You're not going to move forward at all, essentially. Again, you came from a job, right? or you're in a job right now and you're used to the structure, you're used to the deadlines, you're used to the check-ins, the external pressure, right? The person over your shoulder pointing down at you, right? Once that's all gone, you realize you've never had to lead yourself before, really ever. And that's okay. Honestly, it's okay. If no one's watching you, do you still show up? Now, what do I mean by that? Okay. If you don't have that time, you have to be at work. If you don't have that manager looking over your shoulder, if you don't have the boss or the foreman or whoever it is going, hey, why isn't this done yet? Do you still show up and do you still give 110%? And actually, when I was at work, when I was at my job, I never really gave 110%. I really only gave 110% when I actually left and became my own boss. Then I was given 200, 300, however much percentage or whatever you want to insert there. That's when I really woke up and I really went, man, this is all relying on me now. And that's okay. Sometimes that scares people. It did not scare me, but the food, the bills, the paychecks, all that stuff is now relying on me. So the more I show up, the better I show up, the more income, finances, structure, everything's going to come into my life and then now into yours. So I have a note right here and it says entrepreneurship is just your calendar and your self-respect. Thought that was really funny. So every section, and again, there's 7 of those, right, is going to have an action step. So this section's action step is pick one non-negotiable task like content, outreach, or email, and do it every weekday for the next 30 days. No matter how you feel, track it. Prove it to yourself. You can show up without a boss. So this is crazy important and you have to practice this actionable step. And seriously, just do one of these on your lunch break, after work. Do it Monday, Tuesday, take a break off for Wednesday and do Thursday, Friday, okay? The whole point is you have to get this consistency and you have to go, man, again, I'm in charge now, not this boss. I'm the boss, not this work is, not this other person is, right? Okay, so the second section, the second mindset mistake is scattered, not strategic, AKA the chaos loop. You're just going in circles and you're going in circles and you gotta do this and you gotta clean this over here and you gotta go over here and I just don't know what to do because then now it's freaking 8 p.m. and you haven't done anything with your whole entire day. And it's terrible. I've been there way too many times. You can't pick a lane, new idea every week, never sticks with one thing long enough to see the results. That's me right there. You're not flaky. You just haven't learned how to focus. Okay, so consistency is what turns ideas into income. Chaos does not scale. And honestly, look at your favorite brand, look at your favorite business, look at your friend who's just killing it on YouTube or whatever the case is, right? If you ask that person or really got to sit, in the boardroom, I always say, if I could just be a fly on the wall during that meeting, right? I would just learn so much. But if you were a fly on the wall during a meeting, a marketing meeting for whatever company, would it be focused? Would it be scattered? Would there just be 100,000 ideas and whatever? No. It goes, look, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to try this thing for 6 months. And if it doesn't work, then okay, we're going to scrap the idea. But if it does work, we're going to double, quadruple down on this and really just push this thing to the moon. You cannot have chaos with something like this. You have to be strategic with all this. So this action step is choose one offer and commit to it for 90 days. Put the other ideas in a parking lot dock so you don't forget them, but don't touch them until your main thing is built and selling. Okay, so remember that. Do not touch them until your main thing is built and selling. So I do the exact same thing and I just call a brain dump folder. Okay, so it's just this folder that's on my phone and I just 2 a.m, this idea, 3 p.m, when I'm in a meeting, I just duck down and I just write an idea really quick because every other day I want to start a merch company or I want to start a music venue again, if you don't know my story, or this or that, or I'm going to do this over here. And if I just double down on this, on Dork, right? And really just focus on this. Think about how many people I could, Brandon and I could help. Think about how we could scale this sucker and so on. And it's so worth it, okay? So that's why I put everything over here, maybe for a different date, maybe a different time, maybe it's a different stage of my life, but I'm going to 100% focus on this thing right now. And you have to as well. So the third mindset mistake is shiny object syndrome, and it equals stuck. Okay, always learning, never launching. 5 half-built websites, a dozen mood boards, no momentum. So it feels productive, but it's avoidance. I don't know how many times I've actually rebuilt my website or deleted everything off my Instagram and started over, or just took this thing and never launched it. Oh, I got this great idea. I've been sitting on this idea for blah, 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 blah. And just never did anything with it. Actually, it's pretty crazy because this whole course that we're doing right here, I haven't had this exact idea for 8 years, but since the day one of becoming an entrepreneur, I have wanted to do some type of digital course. It has been 8-ish years, and that blows my mind. If I would have just hyper-focused on this, and again, maybe it wasn't helping out, whatever, maybe it was more focused on bands or whatever the case is, but if I would just hyper-focus on this, guess how much further Brand and I would be in our lives, essentially, and our careers and everything, if we took day one and did this instead of waiting, procrastinating, never launching, building half a dozen websites, all the mood boards, all the stuff, dreaming, but never actually putting it into practice. Think about how much further we would be. I'm thinking about that right now. I've thought about it this past week, and that hurts my heart. But think about how much further we would be if we actually just focused and were productive and not avoiding that said thing. And it sucks because if you're always starting over, you're never actually building. You're never actually building up. You're never actually hitting that goal. You're never actually getting that fulfillment. And it sucks because this is where, me personally, I get distracted with social media. I get distracted with Instagram and Netflix and all that stuff. And I'm really motivated. I have the drive and I'm working and whatever, but there is a lack of just the focus for me, and it's painful. And it's cool because like a good buddy of mine a couple months ago said that, man, like I really look up to you because you're a finisher, like you finish things. He's referring to a couple of the businesses and even actually this stuff that like we're actually finally getting to this point where we're ready to do this, right? And what he's seeing is the short term. He's seeing the very ending steps, right? The release of the music venue or the recording stuff or the content creation house that we had, or even this. He's seeing the end result of that. What I see, what Brianna sees, is all the little things we've been distracted through over the years, all the what I was saying earlier, all the mood boards, all the websites, all the things that, we've been seeing over the years that we've done. And I guess you can say maybe it's not all the way wasted. I'm looking at that going, man, if we were just so focused, we would just be in a different place altogether. And that's what I want for you all. This action step is unsubscribe from all courses, email lists, and coaching content for the next 2 weeks. Use that time to implement one idea you've already learned. Pick that one platform and post it 3 times this week. And homie, just ship it. Okay, so this one is huge for me. I'm a podcast freaking maniac. I could tell you how many podcasts, like my little Spotify recap tells me whatever. It's insane. It's up there. I listen to an obscene amount of podcasts because I love learning. But I've felt this. I have felt this exact thing, that for some reason, all I want to do is learn, and never implement. So I've actually practiced this before. I've not unsubscribed, but I just went, okay, I'm not going to listen to any podcasts for the next 2 weeks to a month. And I'm just going to implement all these things. I'm going to write down all these things I've learned, and I'm going to implement all of these things. So take these steps, right? Take these actions, take all the stuff that you're learning right now. Hopefully you're taking notes and implement it all. Okay, don't get distracted, don't have shiny object syndrome, and really just focus on all that. So the 4th mindset mistake is poor communication equals poor execution. Okay, you have to communicate in your business. You have to communicate in life. I swear, the people that I run into that don't show up, whatever, or are always late, or this thing fell through, or insert thing here, they just don't know how to communicate. And that is actually, it's funny because like the employees that I do have, right? The people that I do life with, stuff like that. Well, especially the employees that I have, the first thing that I say on the first day is just communicate with me. I don't care if you're sick. I don't care if you forgot your mom's birthday. I don't care if you're leaving on vacation. I don't care if you're showing up late or you're going to take a later lunch or an early lunch or whatever the case is. If you're communicating to me, if we're having a conversation and I'm aware of this, then I know to reschedule this job, or I know to push this around, I know to whatever, then we're doing great. We're doing dandy. And actually that is like the main thing that my wife and I, that we really, really try and do is we try and communicate. So we've been married for 12 years now, and I truly believe that what has gotten us through that point is one, well, Jesus, and then two, just communication as a whole. We've had some gnarly fights, just like every married couple has, but we have always come back and communicated. Or that's how we stay out of fights, is we go, okay, cool, well, just let me know. Just communicate with me, right? And seriously, it has been such a blessing to have that communication barrier nowhere in my life really as a whole. Every now and then it sneaks in and whatever, and I go, yo dude, or yo person, or whatever, like just communicate with me. But if you can get that out of your life as a whole, then you will have so much execution. It's not even funny. So here's some signs of like a lack of communication. Okay, so if you can't clearly explain what you do or who it's for, that is just right on the hammer on the head. You avoid uncomfortable conversations with clients, teams, yourself, stuff like that. You're stuck in your head instead of showing up. If you can't say it clearly, you can't sell it clearly. Okay, so if you don't know who your ideal client is, if you don't know what your business actually does, right? So it was actually explained to me that you should be essentially at a party or at a gathering and someone goes, oh, what are you doing? You should be able to go, this is what I do. Not, well, you see, I kind of can mow people's yard, grass, whatever. I can also roof your house. If you need taxes done, I can do that. No, I do this to help people like this so they can do this, right? So if you don't have that one-liner down, as a pro tip, you got to do that for sure. And remember, if you can't say it clearly, you can't sell it clearly. So 100% get that one-liner down. I promise it'll change your whole entire business. So this action step is ask 3 people, not your family, to tell you what they think your business does. If they're confused, you have clarified work to do. Rewrite your Instagram bio or website header in one clear sentence. So again, okay, I help who do what so they can get a specific result. Okay, so write that down. I help who do what so they can get a specific result. Okay, so mindset mistake number 5 is a huge one for me. Okay, so perfectionism in disguise. So I'm a big, it's gotta be perfect person, and I won't release it until it is. And I'm working through that. Like, no joke, a couple days ago, I released a YouTube video with no fancy lights, with no fancy mics, nothing like that. Just my B cam, this one right here, on a different lens, on a cheaper whatever lens with window light. And there was literally no editing. I did a little bit of coloring, a little bit of music at the very end, but I didn't cut it at all. And that is weird for me. I'm a production guy. I love good audio. I love good video. I love good effects. I love all that stuff. And man, I tell you what, that was a game changer for me, is going, no, I'm just going to post this and I'm going to be okay with it. And I've got a couple text messages already. The video did whatever, but people are like, oh, this is really cool. I like this a lot. There's a couple comments. It was awesome. If you can get out of that perfectionism loop, oh my gosh, it will save you so much heartache and you will grow so much faster. Okay, so here's some bullet points for you. So you say it's not ready yet, but it's fear, not standards. You're trying to build the perfect thing instead of the first version. Nothing launches, nothing grows. Perfectionism is just procrastination in a fancy outfit. Again, this whole section is just me to a flippin' T. Perfectionism will hold me back more than anything, and it's something I work through still to this day, actually. So definitely get that under wrap, and you will just watch your mindset, your business, everything around you, honestly, everything around you grow. Also, side note, that's not to say that you need to release crappy products, but it's okay to post an Instagram reel without perfect lighting, or it's okay to post a YouTube video that isn't the best video, or it's okay to give out free samples, or whatever the case is, right? You don't need to overthink every little thing, especially if it stops you from moving forward, and especially your business moving forward. So this action step is give yourself a 24-hour rule. This is such a good one. From idea to post or launch, you've got 1 day max. Build that crappy first version and get it live. Growth over polish, okay? I'm telling you, it works. It's awesome. It's hurting my heart even saying that, but There's a time and place for it. This is a great one and something that I'm still working on for sure. Okay, so the sixth mindset mistake is emotional immaturity is blocking your bag, your money, dollar bill. Okay, so you ghost tasks that scare you. You crumble under feedback. You panic when things don't go your way. Business doesn't just take skills, it takes self-regulation. Okay, this one is crazy important. It is so healthy to get feedback. It is so healthy to do that phone call, to make that phone call that scares the crap out of you. It is so healthy to sit in front of a camera and go, man, I don't want to do this. So the first time that I ever actually put out a piece of content, I actually started a podcast called Learn from the Pros. And it was where I interviewed people, so musicians that were touring in the metal heavy, hardcore heavy music industry. And it was this first guy, and he was awesome. His name is Aaron O'Toole, and I'm spacing the band he's in, but he's just a freaking phenomenal drummer. And I remember queuing up I think it was Skype back in the day. I remember walking up the stairs in my studio, dry heaving, because I was so terrified to actually get on camera. Now, when I took the leap, I told myself, I'm not making a piece of content. I'm not getting in front of the camera. I'm just going to make really good music with really good bands. And that is what's going to just take my business all the way and just through the roof. I found out very, very fast that if I'm not marketing, if I'm not producing consistent content, if I'm not showing value in some way, shape, or form, then people will not stick around. And so I started that podcast to draw more people into my recording studio. And actually, not going to lie, that podcast was pretty freaking dope. I interviewed quite a few awesome people in the industry and gave a lot of awesome tips and helpful advice to people that eventually wanted to, tour and do this band thing full time, right? And it was awesome. But my whole point is that I did it though. I still, laced up my shoes or whatever you want to call it, and I still put in the work, and I still made content. I still did that podcast, that first one with Aaron, and it went really good. After, I got some of the, butterflies out, whatever you want to call it, like it went very, very, very good. And it's still to this day one of my favorite episodes, honestly, and it's probably still online somewhere. So anyways, you have to do things that scare you. You cannot crumble under feedback, okay? And you cannot panic when stuff doesn't go your way. So the best thing is when people give you feedback and that you can grow from that, okay? There are people that make millions and millions and millions of dollars that still have an insane feedback loop and still prefer an insane feedback loop before they do any type of release on their products. So remember to self-regulate those skills, and it's crazy important, okay, to do that. Okay, so this action step is write down 3 things that you've been procrastinating because they scare you. So pricing conversations, follow-up DMs, raising rates, stuff like that. So do one of them today. Even if you do it scared, you will have the momentum. And honestly, as soon as you put down that phone or as soon as you hit that send button and they respond, just anxiety and the scarcity and everything, victim mentality especially, everything will come just flowing out of you and you will feel so freaking good, I promise. So do that today, and I promise it'll push your whole entire business and your mindset and everything forward. Okay, so the last and final section of the 7 mindset mistakes is burnout equals no bandwidth to build. Okay, so I have felt this through and through for the past 8 years. And it's okay. I think it's normal, but I think you have to realize what it is, because I didn't know what it was. I had no idea that, I just keep on hitting brick walls. I don't want to get out of bed. My mindset's trash. I'm eating trash food. I feel like crap. I don't want to build this thing. This feels worse than a day job. I wish I should just go back to my day job. I didn't realize that I was just burnt. I was so crispy. It was crazy. And you cannot be burnt out. You cannot have no energy when you're trying to build something. When you're trying to push something every single solitary day, you have to have the energy to do so. And this actually isn't on my notes, but I heard recently this quote: you have to give energy to get energy. And so I've recently, and again, this is just me kicking myself in my butt because it's taken me, pretty much my whole life, but 8 years of entrepreneurship to realize that working out, I'm eating well, is giving energy to get energy back to now shift and produce it in a different place So then your business will move forward. And that lesson right there is, in my opinion, worth this whole entire freaking mini course, because if you can get that underway, year 1, 6 month, day 1, your business will just grow so freaking much. It's not even funny. And the burnout, the no energy, the no bandwidth to build any of this stuff will not even be in existence. Or if you feel it, you'll be able to shift, work out, eat better, get the fuel that you need to then push the burnout away, essentially. So here's some bullet point things to realize if you're burnt out or whatever the case is, okay? So you think you're too tired to start, but you're just burnt from building at the wrong time. So you're giving your best hours to someone else's dream. That one hurts my heart, I swear. But sometimes you have to do that and work the 5 p.m. or the 6 p.m. to 9 or 10 p.m. Sometimes you have to do that when you first start doing this. So exhaustion doesn't mean you're not ready. It means you're misaligned. Okay, so you have to, again, what I was talking about, fueling yourself up to now focus it. You have to be aligned. You cannot be misaligned during this whole business thing. And actually, one thing really quick before we continue, you will have bad days. You will have great days. You will have in-between days. You will have terrible days. But the more that you can focus and realign and get back on that path, the faster your business will grow, the faster your mindset will shift, the faster you will make more money, that you will hire more people, that you'll get to those goals faster, essentially. So this action step to just close this whole entire thing is audit your week. Highlight anything that drains you. Set a boundary or reduce one energy sucking task and replace it with 1 hour to work on your dream. Even if it's messy, even if it's tired, just do it. Okay, so let's wrap up this mini course. So it's not about being perfect, it's about being honest. Are you actually ready to work for yourself, or are you just desperate to get out of what you're currently in? Okay, so this right here speaks to me so much. And then this one's hard for me because I don't quit. Obviously, like I've quit jobs before. I put my 2 weeks in, stuff like that. But the job that I left to become an entrepreneur, I did not put my 2 weeks in. I was so desperate. I was so done. I was so tired of the position I was in. I left. Okay, before, like I said in the beginning of this, before making mindset shifts, before working on mindset shifts, before making proper other moves so my family and everything would be less risk-free. There's always risk when you're doing your own business. That's essentially how I left. Okay, is I just needed to work for myself. I was so desperate that I was like, I don't care, I'm gonna figure it out. And if I were to go back in time, I'd do it just a little bit differently, right? Just probably starting with that. But you cannot be just desperate and then put yourself in a really bad situation, especially your family situation. So work on all these 7, mindset mistakes. Really take home the actionable steps. Really work on those actionable steps. Really put them into place every single day and really work on those. They're gonna be uncomfortable, but I promise the only way you work a muscle is you gotta stress it, right? So the only way you work on this muscle right here is you gotta put it under stress. You have to do things that you don't want to actually do to build this muscle of a brain, of a mind. I hope you really, really enjoyed this, that you really got a lot out of this mini course, and that your mindset will be forever changed. So this will be a forever thing. You will forever work on your mindset and your mindset shift. And that is a-okay. You can always come back to this course for lifetime, until you have lifetime access, and watch this, take more notes. Heck, even rewatch it and realize that you missed this thing over here. Again, I hope you enjoyed this. I had a freaking blast, and thank you so much again for purchasing this. We will talk to you very soon. And yeah, love you, dorks. Dork Social Club, ow. How about that for a closer?